Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, we have Paul addressing an issue that had arisen among the people at Corinth. Apparently people were speaking out against Paul and questioning his apostleship. They were saying things like, he is meek when face to face with them, but bold when absent. His letters are weighty and strong, but his personal presence is unimpressive and his speech contemptible. People were beginning to rise up and try to pretend to be apostles, and then at the same time question Paul's own apostleship. But Paul affirms with them that they should not judge him as though he walked according to the flesh. He was not going to engage with them or exercise his authority over them in a way that was according to the flesh. Because, he would go on to say in verse 3, the weapons of our warfare are not according to the flesh. He says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh. That's verse 4. But divinely powerful for the destruction of fortresses. We are destroying speculations and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God. And we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And we are ready to punish all disobedience whenever your obedience is complete. So Paul here very clearly states that our ministry isn't like what you're used to. It's a different type of ministry. It's a different type of warfare that we're engaged in. And where they were putting up with people who were mistreating them, as it'll say later on in chapter 11 and verse 20, where it says, for you tolerate it if anyone enslaves you, if anyone devours you, anyone takes advantage of you, anyone exalts himself, anyone hits you on the face. To my shame, I must say we have been weak by comparison. Now, we're not coming around to physically abuse you guys, beat you up, and physically force you to come to the obedience of Christ. The weapons of our warfare are not according to the flesh in that way. But we are here to destroy speculations and every lofty thing that raised up against the knowledge of God. In other words, we're here to convince you of the truth. And it's the truth that will bear witness either for you or against you. And that's a very powerful thing. Truth is one of the most powerful weapons a person can have. And Paul carried within him the truth. And as he spoke truth, as he proclaimed the things about Christ, simultaneously he's tearing down strongholds and fortresses and things that would try to exalt itself against the knowledge of God. And this is something that we can take to heart as well. As we take in the scriptures, as we daily do our reading, and we take in the truth of God's word, we are basically sharpening our weapon and the tool of our warfare. Not for beating people over the head with it or abusing people or misusing people, but for utilizing it to tear down strongholds in people's minds, to convince people about the truth of God, and to bring them into a knowledge of God so that they can then be in obedience to Christ. And that is the weapon of our warfare. And it's not just for the unbeliever, but for the believer as well. Here he's talking within the context of the church. And we could even say, even within our own hearts, as we contact God's word, what does God's word do? As the truth of God's word bears witness in our hearts, it tears down even the strongholds, the speculations that we have in our own heart. And so that's really the starting point. Our own speculations, the things that we have within our hearts that are lofty and and compete with the truth of the knowledge of God are torn down as we engage in God's Word. And once that happens, then we can go out and engage with other people as we speak the truth in love. It too will bear witness of itself and therefore be effective for tearing down strongholds and speculations in other people's hearts. And so what we walk away with is the fact that we have a very powerful weapon in God's Word. It is a double-edged sword. And it is there to pierce within the very heart of an individual, as the book of Hebrews teaches us. And it's there to dissect and to differentiate between truth and lies. And when that happens, it causes transformation to take place within an individual's heart. So we do have a very powerful tool, a very powerful weapon, if we put it to use. And if we let it be put to use in our own hearts, and then when we let it be put to use in our sharing the message with others, it can have a very powerful impact. You know, the world has been changed, literally changed, because of the truth of the gospel. And it can continue to change the world as we share it with other people, as we do it with love, as we do it with grace and with meekness. We can change the world just by sharing the beautiful message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So let's do that today. First, let's take it into our own hearts, but then also let it be projected in the way that we live, in the way that we speak, so that it can change other people's hearts as well. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.